Agenda item number 2 under original consideration. A resolution authorizing acceptance of a grant from the New York State Parks and Historic Preservation for flood mitigation.
I was over 30 years. And Student Place, Park Place, I was on a think tank. And they go, how are we going to clean this up? I go, we got to flush the toilet. And I was telling colleagues, other people, and they did. They bought all the houses, and now the kids are all happy to be there. It's a two-way street anyway, where you go. You know, people that do pay taxes, Dad was complaining about two-tier tax on the corner. What am I going to do when we lost the job? People came around and supported him and brought him where he is. For President Wicks to probably finish it for me. I love him, Mr. Thank you so much.
Not that we would close off the speaking, but while everybody else is still here. So the first person, I apologize, I'm having a hard time reading your first name, Martial Molly.
Martin Manley, sorry.
Sorry, I apologize.
Close, that's my poor handwriting. Mike Martin Manley, city resident, active with First United Methodist Church. I'm here.
I was here when the committee came here for Martin Luther King Way, which tomorrow is supposed to be the dedication of Martin Luther King Way. And I would like to know why Martin Luther King Way, the ceremony is being kept in Second Parking Lot. We have the whole of Albany Street. Why is it being kept in Second Parking Lot? We didn't ask for Second Parking Lot, they asked for Albany Street. And I think they should keep it on Albany Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, council members, each and every one of you, Mayor McCarthy and other interested parties and the audience. I'm here again to speak on behalf of Sanctuary City, and I must say I was very pleased that on the 17th of April the council will take up this subject for discussion. I'm very happy to hear that, and I do hope that when you're doing this, all things will be considered, and that you will realize, again, going back to the guidance of the Attorney General, Eric Schneiderman, that President Trump does not have the right to take away funding from the city. For a city that is sanctuary city, he cannot take away the money. The threat might be there, but he will not take it away. That is a very important thing I hope that you will remember. Your block grant money isn't going to disappear. If it disappears, it's already disappeared because in the budget that President Trump proposed, block grants were going to be one of the things eliminated. That is something you would have to fight about. So I'm just asking that you think about all the people who live here and how important it is that Schenectady is a sanctuary city. I know in the past you have said, and that the police have said, no, we will not do the work of ICE. We will not go and pick up people, any of the immigrants, and do ICE's job. I know that is being said, but I think what is very, very important is for that to be legislation, that sanctuary city means people will be protected, the police will do their own work, immigrants who are here should not be afraid of the police, and that is what sanctuary city will give us. So again, I hope you will join with the many cities across the country. There are probably about 500 now. Connecticut is a state that is sanctuary city, a sanctuary state. So please do the best, talk, and come up with the answer that we're looking for to name Schenectady sanctuary city. Thank you.
We've known Bellevue, again, I'm not gonna harp on it. I'm against sanctuary cities. Amen. And Mr. Porterfield asked me before the meeting, how the bridge is coming on Oak Street. I don't know. When two people contacted me after the papers were signed, Mr. Riggi and Mr. Rivera called me up and told me the papers were signed. Now, haven't heard much about it since. The woman in the back was passing papers out a little while ago and says, build bridges instead of walls. I said, why don't you get up and talk about the Oak Street Bridge? She says, oh, New York State needs a lot of infrastructure. I says, we need Oak Street Bridge built. I said, that's what we need. She said, are you signed up? How many of these people come down and know what's going on at these meetings except for one thing? I mean, I haven't heard anyone tell me that they care about my family, that the fire trucks, the ambulance, they're not going to get up to my section of Bellevue because Oak Street Bridge is closed. I haven't heard that. My family and my neighbors are in jeopardy. Guess what? It's 4 years this month. 4 years that Oak Street Bridge has been closed. Madam Chair, why don't you do something at your committee meeting? Contact the U.S. senators, the U.S. congressmen, or your state and local officials, and let them see what the heck they can do, because no one back there is doing anything for us. Plus the city engineer. Haven't heard a thing? 4 years. Don't forget that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? But you do got to remember, there is a rule of law. And if we just allow sanctuary, come on, can we move them into your yards? And I'm not trying to say that because I know a lot of real illegals that came here, and they're great people. You can't uproot people that have been here for 20 years with families. But you can stop people from coming here illegally, and they're welcome to come here legally. So let's stop all the rhetoric and the banter about, oh, how cool we are because we're not letting people come here. Listen, you guys people, man. I'm sick and tired of this. Waving your signs around. Listen, it's so complicated. You need to go to school to start to be able to like really ascertain this type of stuff. When you come here, you start grandstanding because you're watching CNN, MSNBC, or whatever it is. I'm telling you right now, this already is a sanctuary, city. So there's no need to fret about it. It already is. I've been in the courtrooms. Judge Sipnewski, he didn't hold anyone for ICE. He never does. They release them immediately, all right? And I'm telling you, they don't release me, and we're all supposed to be equal. Right? Yeah, I came here eventually, like somebody along the line was an immigrant, my family. But we need to, come here, and a lot of these people that come here, they're not assimilated. They don't like us. They don't like what we stand for. All right? Because religiously, they got some little mental block that stops them from really, really understanding and respecting liberty. All right? And that's a virtue. That's a cornerstone to what we are. If you're not that, then you're against us. So I want to really start paying attention to all these crazy little liberals out there, and we really need to start compiling a book and keeping track of these people. They're freaking dangerous, man. I mean, they're voting, and I'm not even sure if this man right here has his green card. I'm not sure, and I'm sorry. I've heard through the grapevine, and I'm not sure about it. But we don't even know if this man's even legit, and he's on the council. All right, and this is getting crazy. Now, let me tell you something. I'm going to go to college full time, and I will not even take the bar exam because I don't want that ball chain on. And I'm telling you, this is getting crazy. This is getting crazy that I keep hearing people freaking out about Trump. All right, I don't like Trump either. He's a narcissist. But listen, that's one good thing going for him. Because the man is such a fucking narcissist, he's such a narcissist that he's gonna do a good job because he knows that the history books are immortal. He's gonna want to ring through the annals of history. He's not gonna do a bad job. That's why he's working day and night. And just let him do his thing. All right? I don't know about the wars or anything, but who cares about this sanctuary city thing? If you want to protect them, go move over there with them. And I'm telling you, if the cops want to arrest them, I'll start chasing them down and arresting them. And if you guys think anything legal, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to file a lawsuit for sedition. Goodbye. I don't care. I don't care.
I'll ask you to be respectful, please. Christina?
I support you want to sign up tonight. I'm not going to wait for all of these people.
There's two people in front of you. I'll call your name when you're in order. Christina, Shady? I'm so sorry.
Hey, what were you for the Indians? What were you for the Indians? The real Indians, what were you for that?
Chrisanne Schneider.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President, Mr. Mayor, and members of the City Council. My name is Chrisanne Schneider, and I've lived in Schenectady for 5 years now, and speaking in favor of Schenectady declaring itself a sanctuary city. At the last City Council meeting, and just now, some people spoke out against Schenectady becoming a sanctuary city, arguing that they are not against helping and protecting immigrants, but that they think people should be in the country legally. But that is not the issue. We all agree that following the law is important and that people should come and live here according to the laws. But given the fact that there just are undocumented immigrants, we need to decide what we're going to do about that. We need to decide exactly how we're going to treat them, our neighbors. Are we really going to refuse to protect these people, rip them from their families, just because they lack paperwork, which is often the case? Right now, the Schenectady City Council is presented with an opportunity to do the right thing, and I also am very pleased to hear that you're going to discuss this. You have a clear-cut choice between two sides of history, the right side and the wrong side. The fact that President Trump is demonizing undocumented immigrants and sanctuary cities as part of his divisive campaign to grab power by promoting ignorance and fear makes the choice between right and wrong in this case all the much clearer. The Attorney General of the United States, a man who was denied federal judgeship because of policies deemed to be racist by the Southern Poverty Law Center, has threatened to withhold funds from sanctuary cities. This threatened action is immoral, vindictive, most likely unconstitutional, and based on a lie. Jeff Sessions has this to say about sanctuary cities. Quote, such policies cannot continue. They make our cities less safe by putting dangerous criminals back on the street, end quote. But numerous studies say the opposite. Last week, I cited just two, by Lauren Collingwood and another by Tom Wong, that proved Sessions wrong. Sanctuary cities are, in fact, safer. These funds that he's threatening to pull are federal grants for police forces. That is nothing to joke about. The total is in the billions, but it is unclear how much of this would go to Schenectady. It would be helpful if the council could be clear about exactly what grants we might lose by declaring ourselves a sanctuary city. On this point, though, regarding the legality of sanctuary cities and whether or not we really should be worried about our funds being pulled or grants being pulled, as has already been pointed out, New York General Attorney Eric Schneiderman has laid out a very clear guideline, and I'm sure you've all seen it, regarding our rights and obligations to the federal government. He makes an extremely compelling argument, according to the 10th Amendment, that, quote, the federal government cannot compel the states to enact or administer a federal regulatory program or compel the state employees to participate in the administration of a federally enacted regulatory scheme. If for some reason he's mistaken, then we need to hear from you and explain to us exactly why he's mistaken. In the last City Council meeting, I believe that it was Councilman John Clementi and Mayor McCarthy to urge us to contact our senators and representatives. To this I say that we have. In fact, I know several people here have, and we will. But this is not about just the federal government. This is our community, and the question is, what are we going to do about it? Thank you.
Ed Aslakson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, and the other members of the City Council for listening to the concerns of your constituents. I'm a 10-year resident and homeowner of Schenectady and speaking tonight in favor of Schenectady declaring itself a sanctuary city. I'm not going to speak to policies. You'll hear more about that. I'm going to speak to politics. There are 6 Democrats and 1 independent on the City Council. So far, the City Council members have been very reluctant to speak. 2 members appear to be open, at least, to the idea of sanctuary city, while 1 at least has spoken out against it, to my knowledge. We know who you are, and yes, we are keeping score. Councilman Palmetti 2 weeks ago explained to those present why he opposed the move. He started off by telling us that his position is not based on fear, that neither he nor anyone in the City Council is afraid. But then he spent the majority of his time explaining why Jeff Sessions might be constitutionally justified in withholding monies from sanctuary cities. He may not be afraid of immigrants, but he appears to be afraid of Jeff Sessions and Donald Trump. New York's Attorney General Eric Schneiderman's view of the constitutionality of Sessions' threatened act differs from that of Sessions himself and apparently from Councilman Palmetti. I have a copy here of Schneiderman's guidelines in which he explains why Sessions' proposed threatened actions are unconstitutional. Unlike Sessions, a Republican and longtime Trump supporter, Schneiderman, a Democrat, does not have a history of racist policies and lying to Congress. I'm a little perplexed why Councilman Palmetti would side with Jeff Sessions on this issue as opposed to Eric Schneiderman. Maybe if and when he runs for re-election, he should run on a Republican ticket. The mayor, who also has a D after his name, passed the question of sanctuary city status, saying it is an issue to take up with the federal government. With respect, Mr. Mayor, there is a movement within the Democratic Party, the Common Sense movement, that has learned two things from the Tea Party movement, the grassroots movement on the right. First, we've learned to talk to our own party first and make sure they're on board with the movement before trying to reach across the aisle. Second, we've learned to start locally and work our way out. For both of these reasons, we are turning to you, Mr. Mayor, and to the City Council, not Republicans who control the national government, to do the right thing and declare Schenectady sanctuary city. This will tell us you are listening to your constituency, that we have reason to count on you, and not some replacements to represent us in the movement going forward. Today's Democrat, that is the post-November 2016 Democrat, wants something different from its politicians and its office holders. Today's Democrat wants somebody who will start acting like a Democrat and stand up to Republicans when they try to bully us and push through policies to divide our citizens with fear-mongering and race-baiting. Thank you for your time.
My father did not bury himself in a boat to dry land. He did it the right way. He was 18 years old. My aunt and cousins also came to America through Ellis Island. They did not thumb their noses at our laws. They did not steal somebody else's spot. They did not push their way to the front of the line. They waited their turns. My mother came to this country through my father's legal papers. He was already a U.S. citizen when they were married. My uncle and my friend's stories are poignant ones. My uncle was an Italian soldier. He was captured at the outset of the Second World War. He remained a prisoner of war for 11 years. Upon his release, my father and aunt began the arduous process of sending for their baby brother through the quota system that still exists today. My friend was a Hungarian Jew. His father and all members of his extended family were lost in the Holocaust. He and his mother waited 7 years to enter this country. His brother waited 9 years. He was a Holocaust survivor. I have visited the Holocaust Museum. I was a docent for the Holocaust exhibit when it was on display at Union College. To my knowledge, there is nothing in the history of the Holocaust survivors to indicate they came to this country without the proper credentials. It is against the law to be in this country illegally. You took an oath of office. Are you going to keep it? Thank you.
Kevin Nelson.
My name is Kevin Nelson. I'm a member of First United Methodist Church. In past speeches, I've appealed to what I hope are our shared values, which include human dignity, diversity, inclusion, and care for our neighbors. Today, I'm addressing some of what I heard from council members regarding their opposition to or uncertainty about sanctuary city designation. One piece of research that I did turned out a letter signed by 292 constitutional, immigration, administrative law, and international law professors and scholars sent to President Trump about withholding federal funds for states, counties, and cities with sanctuary policies, calling those efforts unconstitutional and strongly encouraging the administration to rescind that section of the executive order. The undersigned law professors and scholars included orders from all of the top academic law schools in the country, including Yale, Stanford, Harvard, University of Chicago, Columbia, and NYU, as well as 5 professors from the University of Albany Law School. The U.S. Conference of Mayors commissioned legal advice on their lawyers' recommendations regarding that executive order. And the feedback that they received was that it would face significant challenges under current interpretations of the 10th Amendment of the Constitution. Legislative or administrative attempts to cut off wide sources of federal funding to localities unless they partake in immigration enforcement schemes would also face significant challenges under current interpretations of the 10th Amendment. I have provided for you my comments as well as some attachments which include a sample sanctuary city policy from the American Civil Liberties Union, which would not violate federal law. Part of the question is about what ICE detainers are versus judicial warrants. What we are urging is that we not comply with ICE detainers, which simply request information on persons that are being held in police custody. These are voluntary. Judicial arrest warrants are signed by judges and request that the person be detained based on probable cause that they committed a crime. Becoming a sanctuary city would not impact our adherence to that law. We speak a lot about community policing, which focuses on trust and engagement between law enforcement and the people they protect. This principle is recognized as critical, and I've heard both as police chief and members of this council embrace this philosophy. Sanctuary city policies contribute toward this philosophy. Rejection of such policies undermines the philosophy. I'm running out of time, but you have my complete remarks before you, and you can read them. The last point that I want to make is that our Justice Department grants, I requested clarification about what they pay for from a police chief, and it was made clear to me that they do not pay for police officers. Under the current structure of our federal grant system, they are not permitted to pay for police officers. And so if they were withheld for any period of time, it would not impact the number of police officers on our force or the budget of our police department.
Do you need to summarize this? Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the council and Mayor McCarthy. I am a longtime resident of the city of Schenectady, and I'm pleased that you will finally be taking up the issue of sanctuary city at an open and public meeting. Immigrants among us have proven to be productive and peaceful members of our citizenry. Sanctuary city status means encouraging law-abiding, undocumented residents to live among us peacefully without fear that they will be questioned by the Schenectady police officers about their immigration status. It will therefore make it easier for those who witness crimes to report what they know to authorities without fear of being detained themselves. It will allow victims of crimes, including victims of domestic violence, to report those crimes to police and still feel protected themselves. It will prevent Schenectady police officers from doing the work of federal immigration agencies to identify, apprehend, and detain law-abiding immigrants, documented or undocumented. It will give potentially vulnerable people more confidence to contact authorities to report crimes in our streets and the community without fear of being turned over to federal authorities for possible deportation. It will make our city safer for everyone who lives here. Our nation is based on the contributions of the immigrants of all races, creeds, and nationalities. Schenectady has a rich mix of people from many nations. As a city, we recruited Guyanese to relocate here. My neighbors and friends are Asians, Africans, and South Americans, as well as Europeans. Most came here after years of extreme vetting. Our borders are not nearly as porous as some would have us believe. Some are not documented, having been brought here as children or having overstayed student or visitor visas. But they are not criminals and should not be treated as such. Those living alongside us and contributing peacefully to our community should not live in fear of our police. Our police force has important work to do, and the mission should not be diverted by doing work in federal agencies as well. Thank you for considering the sanctuary city status, and I hope that you will have a vote on it so that we will know how each and every one of you stand on the issue. Thank you.
My name is Ann Carroll, and I'm with First United Methodist Church. 2 weeks ago, Councilmember Coleman made a comment about illegal immigration versus legal immigration and having a problem with people who come here illegally. Point one, it doesn't matter. Being here without documentation is a civil offense, not a criminal offense. In other words, it is an administrative matter akin to not paying a bill, not a criminal matter like physical violence. Point two, undocumented immigration was not treated as a problem until it became a political issue after 9/11, when it was reported that a couple of hijackers had overstayed their visas. This is very different from people who desperately want to be here legally, but are turned away by a green card process that can take anywhere from 1 to 24 years, and a citizenship process that takes about another 6 years. If a potential immigrant isn't married to a U.S. citizen, a parent of a U.S. citizen, and unmarried child under 21 of a U.S. citizen, or qualified for the Holy Grail of visas, special appointment, employment visas, then getting a green card often literally involves winning a lottery, an immigration slot lottery. We make it hard to come here legally. Mr. Muthuvaran has expressed grave concern over what becoming a sanctuary city has done to Albany's budget and the $12 million hole it has created. But research turned up a January Times Union article reports that Albany has structural deficits related to the amount of land not on its tax rolls, namely land used by the state and the University of Albany, and that the payments Albany receives from the state are about 1/3 of 1% of what they would receive if the land were taxed at its regular value. This combined with a failure on the part of Governor Cuomo to include $12.5 million in Thomas funding to the city in a recent supplemental budget is why this budget deficit has been created. It bears no relationship to Albany's status as a sanctuary city. We don't have any word yet on whether the Just Agreed to state budget takes any steps toward correcting the matter, but it has no bearing on what the council decides here. And I want to say that I teach English to a young Afghan woman, and she does not feel safe here anymore. And I want Albany to be, I want Schenectady to be a sanctuary city because I want everyone to feel safe and welcome here.
Good evening, Madam President, City Council members, Mayor. I was happy to see the last committee meeting that the topic of immigrant support was on the agenda, so thank you for putting that on there. Thank you. I did want to comment on the term immigrant support, as I feel wording is really important in discussing this issue. And I'd like to give a short definition of the word sanctuary: a place of refuge or safety. And I hope when the members of this city council meet to discuss immigrant support, The discussion includes refuge and safety for all those negatively affected by the current administration's efforts to continue the fear